On today's show,
kind of cooled a little bit, but I anticipate it will warm up quite a bit this next year. I think there's a group out of the Johnson County area that's very interested in that. I've seen the proposal to have a specific rule adopted that would allow boys volleyball to be played in the spring.
We are officially 1 year old. Yeah, we're walking around now, getting into everything, starting to mumble a little bit, maybe mumble a little bit more. We're 1 year old. Kansas Sports Chatter. Welcome into the show. Statewide high school sports entertainment show, streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts, and celebrating 1 year of existence. Last week went over 100 episodes, and August 19th of 2025 is when we launched Kansas Sports Chatter. And here we are now, officially 1 year old in a day. Excited to be still standing. You get what I mean? Sitting at the current moment. But excited to still be chugging along here for Kansas Sports Chatter. Just talking high school sports, bringing the entertainment side into sports. Not as much on the X's and O's. Just getting to know guests and hearing from different players and coaches and administrators and officials and media personalities and everything in between. That's what we do here for Kansas Sports Chatter, and glad to be around for an entire year. It's been a fun process. Learned a lot and still have a lot more work to do to continue to make this show even better. So excited for the past year and excited for what lies ahead here for Kansas Sports Chatter. So appreciate everybody that has helped out along the way for our 1 year anniversary. And man, you talk about all the guests that have come on over the year, and everyone that has helped out as well. It's been huge. So appreciate it all. And like I said, looking forward to another year of the show. So to help celebrate our 1 year anniversary, we're bringing back in Pat's Beef Jerky. We've given away a few bundles, and we got another one. Hit us up on our social media pages. You can find the Jerky Chatter giveaway to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. All you have to do is go to the social media page, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and comment on the giveaway post. That's all you have to do. The winner will be drawn out on a Friday by 12 p.m. Central for the Jerky Chatter giveaway, celebrating 1 year of the show. So you like beef jerky, got a great bundle. Also a Kansas Sports Chatter t-shirt will be thrown in there as well. Thanks to a few of our sponsors: Wheatland Electric with headquarters in Scott City. 20,000 Kansas homes that they're delivering energy to. SPX Video Wall Solutions. They design, deliver, install premium video wall solutions and transform ordinary spaces into unforgettable. And Barton Community College, always enrolling. Start your next chapter at Barton. Big time guest for our 1 year anniversary. Kind of ran through a number of things I wanted to do, but one of the things I definitely wanted to hit on was bring back some of the guests that were on that very first episode back in 2025 on August 19th, and a few of them will be on today's show. Derek Tuttle, head coach of Andover Central football, was the very first guest of the show back a year ago. He's back on the program. Suttyn Harris, who graduated from Inman High School last year and is off to University of Utah, playing volleyball for the Utes. She'll talk about her experience at Utah and also just her high school career and what she had to do fighting through that injury as well. Zach Baird, head coach of the Hoisington Cardinal football team, was one of our first guests last year. He's back on the program. Looking forward to year 13 for Zach at Hoisington. And then Bill Faflick, the executive director for the Kansas State High School Activity Association, also one of our original guests for episode number 1. He is back on the program and talking about the launch of girls flag football and also still what might be coming forward for Kansas State High School Activity Association and just the state of Kansas in general, and sports and how things went last year, the implementation of more and more state championships at one site. So all of that, we'll discuss it with Bill Faflick, the executive director for KSHSAA. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, The 1-year anniversary show brings in one of the first OGs, Derek Tuttle, Andover Central football coach. He joins us next. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. We continue on with our 1-year anniversary show of Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in our next guest, and he is one of the originals from the episode number 1 last August, and that is Derek Tuttle. He is the head coach of the Andover Central football team. Coach, I don't know if you were aware when we recorded that interview last year that, now since you're on episode 1, like you got to come back every time in August. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but here we are.
Well, I'll try to help you out whenever I can.
I appreciate it. How's the summer been for you?
Really good. It's been busy, but it's been fun, challenging, but exciting, and ready to get things rolling.
I always feel like this time of the year, like just like all the what ifs and what could be for the upcoming season, like what's rolling through your head at this time of the year?
Well, just preparation is the main thing. Can we do the things we need to do to prepare for a very tough schedule that we have, and get our guys ready to play, learn all the pieces of the puzzle, and where the young guys that are coming up kind of fit into things. And a lot of that, we found that out in June and July, but there's still a lot of answers that we got to find. And I'm sure that a lot of teams are in the same boat, but that's kind of what we're looking at. And then just the excitement of Friday nights. We're excited about that. The kids are hyped up and we're thrilled and ready to go.
What's your preseason approach to week 1 as far as what you try to implement in like stages, whether it's like, that first practice and the second week and then leading up to the start of the season? Like, well, how do you piece things together?
Yeah, we never want to bypass our fundamentals and our basics of what our installs involve in terms of, what are our overall schemes that we're trying to accomplish offensively, defensively, special teams, and try to go from there. So we start with the basics, and we don't get too fancy early on. Even though we taught a lot of the stuff in the summer, we always like to review things and have the kids understand, hey, this is our groundwork stuff here, guys, and we got to understand this and get really good at it before we can start to add more things to develop and find out a lot about ourselves. And then in about the second week of practice, we really dig into our week 1 opponent a little bit more as far as going against that in our scout teams.
I feel like I talked to a number of coaches, and they always say, week 1 is always kind of that crapshoot, right? Like, as far as like how ready are you? You feel good, but like your experience, and I imagine it varies as far as like what returning seniors you have and that leadership you have on your team. But like, what have you noticed over the years as far as just your readiness for that week 1 game?
Well, a lot of it, as far as your week 1 setup, is largely determined by how your kids kind of did in June and July. Did they show up for weights, and did they work their tails off in our practices in the summer when it's hot? Because that sets a lot of the groundwork for what the preseason looks like. So you can kind of gauge a lot of that, not just, physically preparation, but also mental and leadership wise. You kind of get a feeling for how the kids are in terms of their culture and their communication and how they take on leadership roles. And you kind of have an idea once that first practice hits, even with the way the, rules are in Kansas and what we can do now. It gives you a good idea of kind of what your team's going to look like. And then you really hit the ground running.
What's the over under on the amount of cramps in that week 1 game?
Well, it's hard to tell. We've had some weird weather this summer. There's been a couple of days in June where it was so chilly, we're out there in jackets almost. And then here lately in the later parts of the summer, it's gotten into the normal triple digit stuff and high 90s and things like that. So I'm guessing it's going to be kind of the usual cramp fest, but you try to prepare the kids the best you can, try to keep them hydrated, do all of the right things as far as that goes.
You got a good amount of experience coming back this year. You got to be excited about that.
Yeah, we do. We're excited about having about 6 guys on each side of the ball that played varsity last year, or started at some point for varsity, and so we're excited about those guys that are coming up. We have some good kids that had some very good success on JV last year that really put in the work, and they're going to be some rising stars. I can't really say the names. I mean, they're going to make names for themselves in the next few weeks, but we have some kids that we're excited about as far as our leaders, as far as our playmakers and things like that.
You go back to last year and like even in some of your losses, like still really competitive in that regular season. Like, did you feel like in some of those, man, you're just a few plays away from really having a different record?
Yeah, but I think largely that's a reflection of our one of our areas where we really need to improve upon, which is discipline. We had a tremendous amount of penalties last year, and that kind of killed us. And we had a tough row of opponents like we always do in our schedule. But one thing that we're trying to improve upon is our discipline over, not just with penalties, but every little facet of our program that we do. Just trying to improve that, and just try to improve our collective mentality of how we prepare for games, and then our physicality. I mean, there's some things in those three areas where we really got to take some strides, and we've done some really good things in the off season. Some kids have gotten stronger in the weight room, but we still have a long ways to go. And if we get in a better position in those three categories, I think we'll see ourselves playing those close games a little bit more competitively down the stretch.
Do you notice, like, do those penalties, do they come in waves, or like did you have like a cluster of them in one game, or is it kind of consistent throughout the entire season?
We were pretty consistently penalized a lot, but that's largely on us. We struggled with understanding some of the nuances of the game and how to see how the officials are calling it and trying to play off of that. So there's just a lot of things that we got to get better at in that regard. But I think our kids will. They understand, to focus on what you can change and what you can control and what you can't control. And so I think we'll just keep preaching that and just trying to get better at it.
You mentioned that schedule. How much input do you have in putting that schedule together, or is it mostly kind of taking care of itself through league?
Yeah, our league mostly takes care of that because we have a very big league with the ABCTL, and we have 4 different divisions. We typically in Division 2 have a crossover game with somebody or a couple teams in Division 1. Not always the case. There's been past years where we've crossed over with Division 3. But this year we played both May schools in our crossover games with Division 1. So having that for a challenge will be work for us, and it'll be a challenge for us, obviously, to have those as crossover games because our league itself is typically very challenging. So, but yeah, we don't have a lot of. I don't really have a lot of say on our schedule, but it's a good thing in a lot of ways because that schedule is set in a 2-year cycle, and it takes something off my plate as far as what I have to do, and not trying to worry about finding too many games and that sort of thing.
You mentioned cycles, and I know like a lot of schools will go through cycles for uniforms. Like maybe it's every 2 or 3 years, they'll switch uniforms. Like those helmets, like I love the Andover Central helmet with the gold and the black slashes of the Jaguar coming across. Like when did that start? And hopefully there's no changes ever to that helmet.
Yeah, I think that's a good, in our early years, by the way, I should say this too, Cole, we're kind of celebrating our 25th season. We're a relatively young program in Kansas, but we started wearing the black and gold in 2002. This dates me a little bit, but I was an assistant on the staff in 2002 when we started before I became head coach in 19. But yeah, those early years up through, I think it was through about the 17 season, probably the 18 season, I think is when we started wearing the cat scratches on the side of the helmet.
Yeah. And
before that, we were just the kind of the gold domes with the black face mask, which is a little bit reminiscent of the Notre Dame look, you might say, and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's pretty popular. The kids like it. We've talked about switching it and putting like this logo on the side of the helmet. I asked them that a few years ago, and they were like, "No, Coach, we like the cat scratches." So I said, "All right, I'm not going to touch it. If it's a tradition you guys like, we'll stick with it." And the funny thing is too, whenever our kids play in the Shrine Bowl, we've been very blessed to have a kid in the Shrine Bowl more years than not. That's one of the popular stickers that the West kids like to have is that cat scratch sticker. They always think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love seeing that out there. You mentioned your time as an assistant and, taking over as head coaching role in 2019. Like, what did you learn as assistant, just kind of learning the ropes in the coaching business?
Well, I had a long time to prepare. I didn't really anticipate on taking 21 years before I became a head coach. I tried to apply for some different jobs over the years, and nothing really kind of came from that other than just every time something came up, usually it was like, well, I got a really good situation here, and I was working under a really good head coach at the time with Coach Tom Audley, and between his mentorship and just learning from other coaches on the staff what to do and what not to do in a program, after a couple of decades of that and taking notes and putting all my stuff together, I felt like I was really prepared when I started in 2019. So I was very blessed in that regard as far as being able to take a lot of time preparing to get into this position, and it worked out really well. And then side note, I don't know if you heard, but our program did kind of suffer some tough times here in this off season. Coach Audley did pass away this last spring after a battle with dementia. And then another loss we had was Coach Dean Taylor, one of our assistant coaches, longtime assistants. He was here since 2007. He lost his battle with cancer. So kind of a somber note. Our guys kind of went through some tough times. Our program, looking back and reflecting on those two really impactful coaches with our guys.
Anything that stands out from those two coaches? You mentioned, coaching under him, and then also, coaching with him. Like anything that stands out about those two that were just really great?
Yeah, I could say a lot of things about Coach Audley, but one thing that always amazed me was how patient he was with kids. And that's what I learned from him is, patience goes a long way in this business. And the other one is how much of a forethinker he was. He was always so good about planning ahead for, what the next day looked like, what the next practice looked like. And then with Coach Taylor, he just set such a high standard of expectations for our kids and our work ethic. And he ran our weight room, from 07 through just a couple of years ago when he retired after our state championship in 2024. And so he always had a really high bar in the weight room, and as far as his expectations, and he held kids accountable to that every single day. And so that was really impressive to me.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time, and best of luck going forward this year.
Hey, thanks again. Thanks again for having me on.
You bet. And that's Derek Tuttle, head coach of the Andover Central football team. We'll have more of the program after this.
Power outages don't wait for a convenient time, and neither should you. Right now is the perfect season to invest in a standby generator from Wheatland Electric Cooperative. With low monthly payments and special financing for co-op members, reliable backup power is more affordable than you think. We'll help you survey, install, and finance a Generac standby generator, all with professional installation you can trust. Protect your home, your comfort, and your peace of mind before the next storm hits. Get a free quote today and make life without power a thing of the past. Visit us online or call us to get started today.
Mental health is crucial, especially during high school activities. It is a time when we're juggling a lot, school, sports, and clubs, and it can get overwhelming. Sometimes we might feel stressed or down, and that's okay. It's okay to ask for help when we need it. Taking care of our mental health is just as important as our physical health. Remember to support each other and create a positive environment in our high school community.
The one-year anniversary show continues here on Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in another one of those guests from the very first episode back in August of 2025, as Suttyn Harris joining us here, a recent graduate of Inman High School and now competing at the University of Utah for the Utes volleyball team. Hey, Suttyn, appreciate the time. What's it like just being a high school graduate?
It's amazing. It's kind of different, though. I'm not going to lie, being college students, different, but I love it.
Well, for you, you've been able to be on campus at Utah for a while. So what has the whole experience been like for you just being a collegiate athlete?
It's been unreal. You dream of this as a little kid. So just having these dreams come true is insane.
When you first arrived on campus, what was the experience like for you?
Our campus is huge and it's really spread out. So finding your way to lift, finding your way to class, practice, it was all very new. But I came in with 3 transfers and then I came into an amazing freshman class who was super welcoming and they helped me with everything. So it's been awesome.
The schedule for you, have you kind of found that nice balance, I guess? I know maybe school getting kind of revved up a little bit more here in the fall, but for the most part, just balancing the everyday life and then also being an athlete.
Honestly, I figured it out in the spring. I was also doing a lot of different stuff in the spring than I was in the summer. So, you're constantly busy, you're always at the facility, so you kind of figure it out. And we have mandatory study hours. We have to get 4 hours a week. So like you're forced to study. So like it works out. Like you find the right balance.
What went into your decision process in choosing Utah? What stood out about the Utes?
100% the people here. Like when I came out semester, I was, wasn't ready to leave home, but I made that decision. The people here are like amazing, like so welcoming. I came in before visits were open, so I didn't really get to like get a good look at campus, I would say. I mean, like I came to camps and stuff like that, but I committed solely on the coaches. I mean, these people here are amazing. Like we step in the gym every day and we know we're going to compete for the best people. They believe in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves. And just like the support staff we have around here, like our strength coach, our trainer, our sports side, nutritionist, like we have so many people here in our corner that believe in us and fully want the best for us. It's just awesome.
Is there anything specific, like in the personalities of those coaches that stood out to you that definitely like, hey, that's the type of personality that I want to be around?
Yeah, they're just personable people. Like I know I'm going to get the same coaches every single day. Like they're not just going to switch up. Yeah, through practice, games, lifts, anything like that, coaches meetings, like they're going to be the same people and they're going to be so real that that's what I wanted. That's why I wanted to coach.
You wrapped up your high school career last year. I know that you had the unfortunate injury. What has the recovery process been like for you?
So coming out semester, my injury, but that was the big reason I came. I was about 5 months post-op in January, and then I kind of just rehabbed all spring. I didn't play in any spring matches. And in the summer, I still came. I went back home in May. I rehabbed. My rehab was a year long. I just started playing live like 2 weeks ago. Yesterday was our first day of preseason, and like I played fully. Like it was crazy.
How nice
playing
was
for
that?
The first time in a year.
Did that feel pretty good?
Amazing. I like got a kill or something, and the whole team just like jumped on me. So like also being surrounded by girls who care so much about you and want the best for you, like that's another reason I chose this school.
Going into college, anytime you can kind of stepping up that level, but like for you, like once you arrived at Utah and you mentioned finally getting on the floor last couple of weeks, like what's it like just being surrounded by so many great athletes?
Yeah. Coming from a small school, like you see that really a lot at the club level, I would say. But coming from not playing for a year, I was definitely nervous, jumping in just with like the level of play they're at, the pace, everything's just at such a higher level than what I've played at. So I was really nervous about like coming in and, doing that. But then I got in and I was just having fun. Like I was surrounded by girls that like want the best for me. And like, I didn't even care about any of that. I was just like, just go play, like have fun.
All right, so you're on the very first show back in August of 2025. It was right before the season was going to start. So we got a clip here. Let me bring this up 1 second. All right.
Freshman year, sub-state volleyball. We're playing at Remington, and we're in the championship playing against Sedgwick. They were ranked number 1 all year, haven't lost a game. Everyone kind of expected them to win. And then we go out with my team, and we beat them, and we're going to state. I think that was just kind of – it was a big part for our community and our team. It was such a cool experience.
All right, so that was the answer to your favorite moment in high school. Does that moment still stand true as far as your favorite highlight being at Inman?
For sure. I think the other one that like comes close second or maybe ties was my junior year state basketball. Like that experience was so much fun, and getting to play for my dad. Those last 2 years were something like I'll never forget. But yeah, I'd say those 2 memories are definitely core memories from high school.
Just in general, now you moved on to college, like how much fun was just, competing at Inman High School?
It's something special coming from a small school and a small community who like rallies around you. Like I come here and like no one believes how small of a school I was from. But like I would not change it for the world. Like it seriously was an amazing experience. Like those girls are still some of my best friends. Like I talk to them every day. Getting to play for your dad is something you'll never forget. But yeah, having all those coaches and people that helped you along the way get to reaching your dreams, like it's something so special.
What was the best advice your dad ever gave you for sports?
Ooh, our big thing with him was effort and attitude, like just controlling your controllables. Because you're not going to control how you play 100% of the time, but you can always control your effort and attitude.
Hey, Suttyn, appreciate your time and best of luck at Utah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
That is Suttyn Harris from Inman High School and now competing for volleyball team out at Utah. We continue on with our one-year anniversary show, bringing back a number of the guests that appeared on the very first episode back on August 19th of 2025. And another one of those is Zach Baird, head coach of the Hoisington Cardinals. Going into, is this year 13 as head coach?
Year 13 is right, man.
Nice. Hey, appreciate you coming back on the show. How's the summer been?
It's been good, man. It's been busy, but, felt like we had a good summer and had a good turnout in the weight room. So got 13 seniors and excited to get to work with them.
I've been asking like all these coaches that have been coming on during the summer on the show, Zach, like what's the mentality for you? Like once summer starts, like when does that page officially turn and okay, like, yep, let's lock in on 2026. When does that start for you?
Yeah, I think it's the start of summer. For all intent and purposes, our season starts. If you don't have a good summer, your chances of being successful are pretty much, none. So when summer starts, it feels like football mode's kind of ramping up and it's time to go. So, for us, definitely the start of summer.
Have the evolution of like your summers as a head coach, like how have you treated it? Has anything changed from like, the beginning of your career to now, or do you kind of keep things the same?
We try to tweak it if we think we can make it better, but for the most part, it's same old. Obviously, we've been blessed and have had good kids, so we've been successful. So a lot of it's still looks the same, year 13 as it did year 1.
All right, so you were on the very first episode, so I want to go back to August 19th, 2025. Let me bring this up. And you had this to say about your flex bone.
I took over after being a DC for 3 years, and my first thought was, who could I get in touch with that does something that's been really successful? And at that time, Randy Dreiling was at Hutch, and obviously everybody knows how successful he was there. So I just kind of went through some people I knew. Dustin Damel played here at Hoisington, and he had a connection to Randy Dreiling. So used that connection and got a chance to meet Coach Dreiling, and Coach was gracious enough to sit down with me and visit with me.
I thought that was really cool, just how you brought in that flex. So, like, did you ever get any refreshers from Randy, like over the years, like any refreshers on your flex?
Yeah, especially early, had a ton of questions for him. And probably the coolest thing is it would be a shocking number if we really found out how many programs Coach Dreiling has helped over the years. But definitely early was always picking his brain, and he put on a clinic every year, still does, just haven't been able to go to it here recently. So I'm not near smart enough or creative enough to come up with anything on my own. So kind of the way I approached schoolwork was I was always just trying to find people that were smarter than I was to kind of learn from. So.
Now, has anyone like reached out to you? I know like at least your coaching trio, I know like Ross Coombs out in Phillipsburg now, but like, does anyone kind of come up to you as far as like how you've run things over the last 13 years?
No, not really. And Coach Coombs does such a good job up in Phillipsburg. If anything, I'm usually trying to pick his brain and not the other way around. So, Coach Coombs definitely smarter than I am. But, I think that's one thing football coaches do a great job of, regardless of what you do scheme-wise, is, the majority of the coaches I've ever ran into always are willing to share ideas and how they do things. And I think that's probably a special thing that most football coaches do.
Okay, so we mentioned 13 years now as head coach and, 3 years before as a coordinator. Like, did you imagine, like, especially coming out of college, like that you would be back in your hometown in Hoisington coaching?
Even as a little kid, when my dad was coaching up here at Hoisington as an assistant or Coach Webb, it was something I knew I had a passion for and always wanted to be around sports in some form or fashion. And, whether it was in Hoisington or not, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that. But from a pretty young age, I'd have been able to tell you that that was something I wanted to do with my life was get into coaching. So from that aspect of it, no, not surprised there. As it turned out to be in Hoisington, obviously biased towards our community. So I couldn't imagine doing it in a better place than Hoisington.
And I think there's a lot of coaches that are, maybe there's some that are coaching at their alma mater or they've been there for a long time. They have that sense of community. But like, I think it is even more special for you. Like, after games, you always have that conversation with parents, but like, it's like the whole community comes down on that field and just to like know and just kind of love on you a little bit. Like, I don't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think Hoisington does a lot of cool things, and it's just based on the type of community we have. So, was extremely blessed to be here. Was blessed to have you for what was it, 11 years? 11 years. And for a lot of that time, my father-in-law was with you. So there was just so many things as you look back over time and realize how fortunate we've been and how blessed we've been.
All right, your pregame rituals as far as getting things set up before the game starts, like that playlist of music. I feel like it's from like day one. Like I feel like a lot of the songs are on the same playlist. Like who selected some of those songs?
Coaches over the years.
Okay.
Coach England, it was his iPad for the longest time. Tua, last year was giving me some playlist. Brody Corbett has. So we ask our kids for advice on songs too, but I would say some of Tua's songs were okay. Some of them not very good. Wasn't a huge fan of, but we just try to make it the best experience we can for our guys. They get 4 years in the program, and so obviously I have some that I enjoy make it on there, but no, that's a tough one. I couldn't tell you where the playlist came from to be honest with you, but. We try to pick as many minds as we can.
All right. So outside of Inner Sandman, obviously, but is there any other one on the playlist that has to be on there for Zach? K-State always played Stand Up for the Champions. I like that one. Okay. But Inner Sandman, that's Mr. Mason. That's our high school principal. Okay.
That was one of his requests. And, there's some things that I think coaches, is really important to them. The songs we play in pregame or what we run out to, not real high on my priority list. So I really don't care. And so when he came up and he's like, hey, I think you should have Inner Sandman for the song you run out to. And I was like, well, it works for Virginia Tech. So like, it's probably good enough for us, but I'm happy with that. That's just one less thing I have to worry about.
All right, it's a staple. Head coach Hoisington football, Zach Baird, joining us here on the show. When you break in a new quarterback like you will this year, like what's that process like, and just the time that you spend just kind of getting that quarterback ready?
Yeah, that's always a tough one. I think probably what really helps it and makes it a lot easier is those guys are repping that in practice, whether they're the starter or the backup or whether they're a freshman. But they're constantly learning that and repping that over and over from time they're a freshman, when we get them. So it's tough from a mental aspect, and there's a different form of leadership when you're in the huddle. So that's probably the biggest thing. By the time they actually do it in a game, though, they know what they're doing. They've repped it enough. It's a habit. So it's more than anything, just making sure they're mentally prepared to be the guy. I always tell our guys, everybody wants to be the quarterback until they're actually the quarterback. But I think Coulter Hahn's had a great summer for us. I think he'll do a fantastic job, and excited to see what he can do because, he has a knack for running the football. He's gotten better athletically every year. And he's just kind of an old school kid, man. He's got some toughness to him that will definitely help us go a little bit offensively.
Whether it's Coulter or anybody else, like, have you noticed like the reps, does that help the most? Just like, hey, you rep it, or is it more of a mental game? It's just as far as like the knowledge, especially like football IQ, I guess, for a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixture, but they've got to be able to know what we're doing, and the footwork's got to be right. Once they get that down, then the mental aspect really starts coming into play, and you've got to know what everybody's job is on the field, but you got to know who our read key is, who our pitch key is, and how to attack that. So just like anything, I think kids are able to do whatever you really need them to, as long as they get the reps that they need to make it a habit. Once it becomes a habit, now it's a whole lot easier. But without reps, it's extremely difficult. It's extremely tough. So, I would like to have a quarterback that started for 2 or 3 years. Sometimes that's just not the case, and, you look at Mason Haxton, who started for 4 years. We were talking about him. That's not the rule. That's usually the exception. Is it ideal to have a new quarterback every year? No, probably not. But sometimes that's just the way your group shakes out.
You brought up footwork. How big is that, especially your quarterback, even like on some of your exchanges in the style of offense that you have?
Yeah, it's huge. If anything's off, the mesh will be off. And if we have a problem in the mesh, the ball's usually hitting the turf. And that's obviously not an ideal situation. So it all starts with their feet. And I don't try to coach our kids up on how they're going to throw the ball upstairs. But whether it's a freshman quarterback or a senior quarterback, if we're throwing the ball, like the footwork, the base, that all needs to look the same. For us, we're really put an emphasis on footwork and whether we're running or throwing it. So that's probably the biggest thing when we get a quarterback coming from middle school to high school is, we're gonna train the feet, and the footwork is going to be done exactly right.
That start of the season, I think some coaches are in different boats. Like some of them just like, man, they want to get out there and they're tired of all the summer and they're ready for, a game week. But then others are like, man, we have a lot to get in. So like, which side do you fall on as far as like, hey, I'm ready to go, or I need more time?
I would take more time.
Okay.
We don't we're going to put our emphasis on the summer as far as getting bigger, faster, stronger. And, some programs do it certain ways, and they're having a ton of practices in the summer. We don't have a ton of practice in the summer. We have a couple camps we go to. The biggest thing is when we start next Monday, we got 39 guys out for football right now. I want all 39 guys coming in with some juice, looking forward to the season. And we have 4 to 5 months, however long our season goes, to coach these guys up and teach them stuff. So, I'm ready for summer to be over. I'm ready to get going. And, hopefully we got 39 guys and 13 seniors who are chomping at the bit. But, we've got, like I said, 4 to 5 months. And if we can't teach them what we need to in those 4 to 5 months, then I'm not doing a very good job, and our assistants aren't doing a very good job. So, man, we're excited. We're getting through Cardinal days right now, and Monday can't get here soon enough.
Zach, appreciate the time. Let me know if anybody makes any changes to that playlist, all right?
Cool, will do, man. Good visiting with you as always.
Zach Baird, head coach of the Hoisington football team. More of the show after this. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. Kansas Sports Chatter continues on YouTube as we bring in our next guest, another one of our one-year anniversary guests that was on the very first episode and now over 100 episodes of Kansas Sports Chatter. Bill Faflick, the executive director for the Kansas State High School Activity Association. Bill, thanks for coming back on the show. What was the summer like for you?
Well, I tell you, they seem to get shorter every year. I think I enjoyed that one day of summer that we had, and we're filled with camps for kids, whether it's cheer and spirit camps or whether it's KAY camp or student council workshop. That and the National Federation hosts our summer meetings. So we were all in Salt Lake City, got some good professional development, some good networking, and really feel like we're prepared for a great school year ahead.
Like how much planning, do you feel like already prepared for the school year before that summer hits, or like how much planning is going on just for the state of Kansas?
Well, we're nonstop, and you're planning next year while the current year is still underway. So we're well ahead of where most people might think, with all our championship sites set out and schedules and protocols. And now it's about executing those plans, communicating the specifics, and making sure that our student athletes have the opportunity to shine on that biggest stage. We know in school-based activities that every team wants to be in that championship. They want to win that state title. yet the purpose of our activities is to teach. And so we're always reminding folks of the focus of teaching kids, helping kids grow and learn so they can be successful in school today and they can be successful in their next opportunities in life.
You talk about doing what's best for kids. And I know this time of the year may seem obvious, but with that sun shining down brightly and temperature still in the 90s, even close to over 100, man, it's just important to get that water out there.
I tell you what, there's nothing that beats a hydrated athlete, because we need to make sure kids are drinking, every passing period during the school day, before school, after lunchtime, after school, and during practice. And you've got to keep your tanks filled. As Coach Means taught me many, many years ago, that is so critical for kids today, because it's not just the air temperature, it's that humidity and the impact of that solar radiation and how it will allow a body to cool or to stay heated up. So our coaches are well versed in recognizing signs and symptoms of heat illness and heat exertion, but we need to make sure every kid is prepared for practice, because they may not have been outside all summer long, and they might not be used to the rigors associated with that high level of competition through practice and then eventually into games.
Well, as I mentioned, you were one of the first guests of the opening episode last August. And I asked you a question, if you go back a year ago, Bill, of just like what sports KSHSAA was kind of looking into and your board and your committees. And I want to play this clip back here. 1 second. So let's bring this up. All right.
The two other activities that seem to be most currently discussed are girls flag football. A number of schools participating in girls flag, a big push from the Kansas City Chiefs, from the National Football League, from Nike. So certainly we would love to see girls flag football if that's what our membership wants. And on the boys' side, boys volleyball has picked up some interest, especially in Northeast Kansas.
All right, so you brought up that first one, the girls flag football, that, there's some that interest. And we had Jeremy Holiday on the show last spring when it was announced and just kind of getting ready for it. But you were talking about it, and now here it comes this fall, kind of an exciting time.
It is very exciting. And boy, we had an electric board of directors meeting where it was adopted this past spring. And we'll have close to 50 schools, we believe, participate in our first ever flag football championships. Season begins next Monday with practices, and then we'll culminate on October 17th with 2 semifinal games and then then a single state championship game. We're going to have one classification of all of our schools, at least tentatively. We may end up with 2 very, very soon, but probably year one we'll have that one combined class championship, and really looking forward to seeing those girls compete at that highest level.
Have you seen any smaller classifications kind of commit to flag football?
We see some of that in our metropolitan areas. This has been, as we've gone around the state doing athletic director meetings where we're talking about training and changes from previous years. We see a lot of interest in the metro areas of schools that are sizes 3A, 4A, 5A, and 6A, primarily the 5s and the 6s. It's very difficult to have, a football team and a soccer team in the fall for the boys, because that's a large number of kids. It's similar challenge to have a smaller school with a volleyball program and a flag football program, because there's just not enough girls to go around. So we'll see. Schools will pick whichever one of those they want to do, or maybe they will try to do both. Whichever they do, kids will be better through that participation process.
At the end of that clip that you mentioned, on last year's show, you're talking about boys volleyball. Where's the temperature at for that sport?
It kind of cooled a little bit, but I anticipate it will warm up quite a bit this next year. I think there's a group out of the Johnson County area that's very interested in that. I've seen the proposal to have a specific rule adopted that would allow boys volleyball to be played in the spring. I think we still have to talk about that on that broader stage across the state of Kansas. And for those that would like to play, I certainly hope that becomes a possibility. We'll wait and see. I should have probably mentioned last year, and maybe we did, but if you don't mind a little bit of personal pride here for the association, or a personal comment, we had our first ever esports championship last year. And what a success it was. It was one of the best kickoffs for initial championships that Play Versus, the national partner, has ever seen. We had 96 schools participate in esports, and they had a fabulous championship game or championship weekend at the Olathe complex, and we're looking forward to even better this year. We've added a couple more games, Madden and Marvel Rivals, so we'll up to 5 different games, and hopefully have that many more schools and more as we have our second season late this fall and over the winter.
You talk about like schools adjusting to what they need to provide, the supplies necessary for specific sports. Was esports one of those you found like many of them were ready to jump in, whether it's, just finding a space for it and, the consoles, but were many schools kind of ready?
A lot of schools had been participating in an informal way with a variety of different partners, but collaboratively, they didn't have to do a lot of tech purchases. Some had built labs, some are using existing labs, and kids certainly were able to help supplement the equipment in the inventory at the schools.
Well, for you, you look at the last few years, I feel like there's been that emphasis from KSHSAA to get more state championships and state playoff games under one roof or one site. What have you kind of noticed, at least from the feedback from starting to combine some of those sites in a variety of sports?
Well, I think that there's something special about a championship, and they are won game by game and school by school. But when you can line up a number of those championships in one venue and people have the opportunity to go to one place and watch 2 or 3 championship football games or, multiple championship basketball games, both boys and girls on that, Division I floor like we have at Wichita State and like we've had, we'll have at Bramwich and at Hutch Community College every year. What a great environment that is. And so if you're a basketball fan and going to watch 2 or 3 or 4 championship games in a row is a great experience. So we're looking forward to round 2 in basketball. Volleyball tweaked its format a little bit, and we made that a 3-day event, still 2 for each of the respective classes, but just shortening that or providing an ending time that was more reasonable for the second half of that tournament on day 1 certainly was a positive change this past year as well. So we'll continue to tweak. We really like the input we get from our membership. They're engaged, they're dialed into this, and we'll continue to be responsive to the wishes of the membership. That membership did tell us many years ago or several years ago, put as many together as we can. So we're going to continue to work in that regard.
Yeah, it was fun to see. I know we had Kyle Doporowski on the show as well, and he's just talking about all the legwork that goes into, especially the quarterfinals and getting the new adjustments from, basically proximity for some of those upper seeds. Is that still, did you feel like that was pretty clear this year, especially just, getting all the different sites for the quarterfinals?
Well, I tell you, we have the sites identified, but then we don't make that assignment. So we've learned a lot through process in year 1. We'll continue to tweak it. We know the ultimate goal is to line up those championships on a Saturday so that they can play in those games in a back-to-back manner. And yet getting to that point is the biggest challenge. How do we get there most efficiently where we don't have a negative impact on kids being in school? The loss of instructional time is still very important to us with education-based activities, as well as travel, because it's costly to travel across the state. We know that after the quarterfinals, we reduced travel for our member schools by 33% from a previous year, yet they felt like they were being ping-ponged around a little bit when they didn't get to go and stay at one location for an entire 3-day or 4-day experience. So we'll continue to tweak that. We like that opportunity for the higher seeded team, the team that's had a very successful season, to be closer to home. We had some great crowds at our venue. So we're looking forward to round 2 this year, and what great hosts we had across the state, and we'll continue to lean on those venues and those leaders to help make great experiences for kids.
Bill, do you get to enjoy like the activities as it goes throughout the season? I always feel like, you're kind of that eye in the sky, looking over everything. Do you get to kind of enjoy the sports and all the activities as well?
We love championships. We love regular season. So yes, I'm kind of a high school sports junkie, and I'll show up at ball games across the state whenever that opportunity arises. But certainly there's very few championships that I'm not in attendance at one of the classes. It's difficult to be at 6 different locations, but I'll be at one of them, that's for sure. And our team does a great job. I'm blessed to work with a fabulous team that feels the same way as I do. And we're spread across the state and always in communication so that we can replicate the very best experiences for kids on a site-by-site basis.
Bill, again, appreciate the time and enjoy the year.
Looking forward to it already, and practice is coming soon. And I know when this airs, that practice will be underway, so kids will be in the beginning stages of a great season ahead and a wonderful school year. So thanks for the opportunity to talk about high school kids and middle school kids that are involved in activities and the great experiences they'll have and growth they'll have as being part of a team.
That's Bill Faflick, Executive Director for the Kansas State High School Activity Association. We'll have more of the show after this. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. Again, a big thank you to everybody that's helped us celebrate our 1-year anniversary of Kansas Sports Chatter. 1 full year of the show. Just one dude talking high school sports, sitting in front of a camera. A lot of new things here, but appreciate it and excited for the 1-year anniversary. That celebration continues this week as we'll have our Jerky Chatter giveaway to celebrate with Pat's Beef Jerky out of Liebenthal, Kansas. Look at all that beef jerky you have the opportunity to get. And also we'll throw in a Kansas Sports Chatter t-shirt. Find us on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram. All you have to do is comment on the giveaway post on social media, and you'll have your chance to win the Jerky Chatter giveaway, partnering up with Pat's Beef Jerky out of Liebenthal, Kansas. Again, thanks to a couple more of our sponsors. Eastus Media, the voice of the Pratt High Greenbacks. Does anybody broadcast high school sports better as far as everything that they do than Cody? I don't know. And then Meyers Enterprises, bring your business into the 21st century, stand out from the noise, and grow your business with Meyers Enterprises. That will do it. Appreciate it for the 1-year anniversary. Again, you still have the chance to win the beef jerky. Find us up, hit us up on social media. And if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel for Kansas Sports Chatter.